Yo, what's going on? Back again, once again. As you've probably seen by the title of this video, this is about who's strongest out of the four, I would say, most impressive rooftop members. Arguably, Killer was more impressive than Kid, but I don't want to trigger too many people with that. But we're arguing about, because I saw this on Twitter the other day, who's stronger between Luffy, Zoro, Law, and Kid. Obviously, I will be referring to the actual source, the manga, for everything. I'll be posting pictures throughout here of things other people have said and why I have come to my conclusion about who is the strongest, in my opinion, all the way down to the least. But honestly, they're all pretty much around the same level. Each of them have broken abilities that they can do, that we witness on Wano and Onigashima, respectively. And so I'll start off with Luffy. Obviously, I think Luffy is the strongest. Luffy in base was able to go toe-to-toe with Kaido for an extended amount of time with Conqueror's Coding, or ACOC as most of the community refers to it as. He was able to fight him toe-to-toe. Once he ate and got back up, I believe he started fighting Kaido again at like either 10:28 or 10:29 when he flew back up there on top of Momo. 10:37 is when we get to really see the beginning of their clash all over again in between Luffy and Kaido. And so even some of Luffy's feats in Gear 5th, the ability that he showed to where he pulled up the ground and flung back Kaido's blast breath. I mean, come on, that strength alone, he pulled up the literal ground, almost akin to Big Mom walking through the earth. Like, I think Luffy, because he's a physical fighter, he's a blunt puncher, and we saw him punch out Kaido, knock him through the earth with Bajrangan. So clearly, I think Luffy, in terms of strength, I'm gonna give him a 10. I think he's that guy right now. I'm hard pressed to bet against him. Obviously, I think maybe Shanks is still stronger than him, but any other person in the top 5, no, I don't. Aside from Shanks, maybe Imu, if Imu has a broken Devil Fruit ability. But in terms of sheer strength, I think Luffy is right behind Shanks, honestly. Which that would bring me to my second person, who I think is second strongest, only after Luffy. Because let's differentiate physicality and Devil Fruit. Okay, I'd say Luffy is strongest physically and Devil Fruit ability. He has the Nika Nika no Mi, aka a Zoan Devil Fruit, a mythical Zoan Devil Fruit, which he is able to turn his opponents to rubber, almost like a Looney Tunes fighter now. He affects his surroundings, attacks that cut off other people's arm, like the demolition breath from Kaido literally cut off Kiku's arm. Luffy was tanking that in Gear 5th, lost no limbs. So the dude is just a beast. But yeah, in terms of physicality and overall strength, I'm going to give it to Luffy at a 10. I would say right behind Luffy, in my opinion, in terms of physicality, because he doesn't have a Devil Fruit ability, I'm going to give it to Roronoa Zoro. You might ask why? Because Kaido literally said, only the strongest can coat themselves in Advanced Conqueror's Coding, or ACOC. Only the strongest, Saikyo. And so Zoro did that. Kaido gave him his props, and that's before Zoro unlocked King of Hell, with going with putting it not just on Enma, but all of his blades. When he finally realized his kingly ambitions, as King the Wildfire would say. And again, like even there, Zoro was able to cut Kaido and scar and do damage against Kaido without Advanced Conquerors, just as a regular ability. Meanwhile, he couldn't even hurt King the Wildfire until he unlocked King of Hell. So if we're talking about getting exponentially stronger, because we even see that even in the anime, how they depict Luffy with Advanced Color or ACOC, Luffy is faster, stronger, and even has more defense, because even in the manga, When Luffy got hit by Rag Naraku inside of chapter 1010, it knocked him out. Versus when he gets hit by Drunken Kaido with Drunken Dragon Bagua, it doesn't even knock him out. Luffy just says ouch. So obviously Zoro unlocks that. He gets the same buffs. Speed, because remember, King was blitzing Zoro. Zoro barely had time to react. Zoro was one of the first Straw Hats to dodge light speed in the entire series against Bartholomew Kuma. He dodged light speed all the way back in the pre-time skip. So Zoro is quick. His reaction speed is faster than Luffy's in there because Zoro was the one who jumped in front of Hakai, or Conquest of the Sea. Zoro did that. So Zoro can react to light speed. His movements in some panels has been shown to be light speed. So the fact that King the Wildfire was blitzing him, pushing Zoro back until Zoro unlocked King of Hell, because all before Zoro unlocked King of Hell, Zoro was losing every exchange against King the Wildfire. You can just go and look at the panels, and when the anime gets to it, you can watch it in motion. Every time they had a clash, Zoro used Ultra Tiger Hunt, lost that clash. Zoro used Purgatory Onigiri, lost that clash. Until he unlocked King of Hell, he lost every clash with King of Wildfire. But once he unlocked King of Hell, he overpowered him. He didn't get blitzed anymore. He doggone near didn't even get hit. The only thing that we can dispute is that maybe he ate the kick is when King seemingly kicked him in his face, and Zoro used Bird Dance and cut him like the counter. But that remains to be seen, right? And so, but yeah, once Zoro unlocked King of Hell, different mode, different beast. And as Kaido said, only the strongest can coat themselves in color of the Conqueror Haki. Only the strongest. You know, and so Zoro automatically, I'm not going to blaspheme and say, well, he's top 5. Well, let's slow down. Zoro is going to have to deal with a time limit, because we know that until he completely masters Enma's going to suck away his Haki, nearly killing him. We already saw that with his fight against King. So I'm going to pump the brakes a little bit. But is Zoro in my top 15? Of course. He's in my top 15. No doubt about it. He is approaching. Obviously, we know his end goal is who? Dracula Mihawk. That is his end goal. And seeing that Dracula Mihawk has a bounty of 3.5 billion. Only reason why it's not higher is because he's not known as the leader of Cross Guild. If he was the Yonko of Cross Guild, his bounty would probably be over 4 billion. You know, but simply because he's recognized as a subordinate of Buggy the Clown, that's why his bounty isn't that high. But yeah, I'm putting Zoro firmly at spot 2. I would give him probably in the physicality department, because he is a physical fighter. I would probably give him a 9.5 or 9.6 in terms of strength. Like, again, dude can dodge light speed. Dude reacted to Hakai when nobody else during Roof Piece did. Zoro was the only one who reacted to Hakai. This is someone whose reaction speed is faster than seemingly Luffy, because Luffy didn't even react to Hakai, even though Luffy has Future Sight. Again, Zoro's the only one who reacted to Hakai. So I'm gonna firmly put Zoro at number 2. Then this is where we get into the difference between physical strength and Hack's Devil Fruit abilities. Looking at Kid and Law, because I know everybody is bloviating about Law versus Blackbeard, and I'm not trying to tear down what Law is doing. Law was definitely a beast during the Big Mom and Kid fight, when he helped out Kid take out Big Mom. But let's also be real. They were only able to beat Big Mom because they started working in tandem with one another. Okay, we are led to believe that even though they had awakened awakened their Devil Fruit abilities, I believe it's chapter either 1031 or chapter 1030, then we come back in chapter 1038, and Kid and Law are on the ground, because seemingly they were trying to use their attacks, not backing one another up. They were still trying to do it as a 1v1 fight, and they lost. It wasn't until they started to work in tandem together that they took down Big Mom. That's why Law would state to Kid, hey, stop following me up. I'm not your opening act. That is literally what Law said to Kid. Because he was getting upset that like Kid would always follow up his attack. Now, yes, we know he used Shock Veil on Big Mom, and then Kid hit her with the giant bull, right? Broke her arm. She actually had to use Lifespan to heal herself and grow even bigger, right? And so when we get into Hack's Devil Fruit abilities, I'm going to give it to Law. We've seen what Law can do on Public Hazard. He cut the whole mountain range. Shock Veil and Puncture Veil. Puncture Veil, he creates a hold akin to what Luffy did with just physical strength with the Bajirang gun. He does the same thing with his Puncture Veil. Shoots it all the way down through Big Mom, through Onigashima, down all the way through Wano itself, the island, creates a gigantic hole, buries Big Mom in it when she falls off of Onigashima. So obviously, as I said, I'm going to give it to Law at the number 3 spot. In terms of overall ability, I'm probably going to put him at like a solid 9.2, 9.1, because again, his Devil Fruit is cracked. And again, yes, we do see him using his Re-Room against Blackbeard, using abilities like Amputate, again, Shock Veil, but we all know Blackbeard takes damage like it's nothing. Like, he fought Ace, and if you looked at that fight, seemingly Ace was the one whooping Blackbeard's butt, but we all know what happened at the end of the day. Who got captured? Ace got captured. Who got killed at the end of Marineford? Ace got killed. So, not saying Law's gonna get killed by like Blackbeard. I definitely think he and his crew are gonna escape, but he's gonna have to give up some of his poneglyphs, because if Aokiji is on that ship, he can just freeze the ocean, and Law and them can't go anywhere. But yeah, in terms of strength, I'm gonna probably put Law 9.1, 9.2, and then that brings me to Kid. Now, for Kid, even though it was a Devil Fruit ability, we did see him push Big Mom back several times in the fight. He made a giant robotic arm. Big Mom had her sword. He literally grabbed her by her head, slammed her on the ground. Even when she punched him in the face, he was able to turn his head, look back at her, and use repel. So physically, I'm probably going to put him in a physical, like, the guy is a physical beast. Like, let's not mistake it. Kid is strong, because even when they were in Udon prison, it was shown that even with one arm, he was able to lift just as much as Luffy with both of his arms when they were carrying around the blocks. So again, in the physical department, I'm probably going to put him at like a 9. In terms of Devil Fruit, he doesn't impress me. The most impressive thing he did was create the railgun. And obviously he's the one really responsible for pushing Big Mom down, because that's literally what he was doing, was using his railgun to push her off of Onigashima. So I'll give it to him for that. But other than that, creating a giant bull and body slamming Kaido, like, I mean, it's like, it's okay. It's not my cup of tea, and I don't mean to downplay him all that much. But for me, just specifically for me in my case, I'm not that impressed with Kid right now. I'm going to need to see more. I need to see this dude create electromagnetic guns, shooting bullets at people like out of thin air, like creating turrets around himself, creating lasers around himself. He's an engineer, so it's like that should be cake work for him, man. That should be easy for that kid. But Oda hasn't shown us that yet. So for right now, I'm gonna put him at the 4, probably like a 8.8 or a solid 9. Out of 10, obviously 10 is the goal. I have Luffy at 10, Zoro at 9.5, Law at a 9.2 or 1, and then I have Kid at a solid 9. Because honestly, Law put in the most damage against Big Mom. Two shock veils, Puncture Veil. Like, he was giving Big Mom the work. Obviously, again, as I did admit, Kid was the one responsible for pushing her down through Onigashima, but Law was the one putting in most of the work in that fight. So that's where I have those 4 at. Obviously, if you disagree, we can discuss this in the actual comment section of the video. definitely would like to get y'all's thoughts on it. And again, the reason why I have Zoro that high is because someone like Kaido literally said only the strongest can coat themselves and conquer as Cody. Only the strongest. So that means Zoro, end of series, is going to be one of those top 5 dudes solidly in the series. By the end of it, he's going to be top 5. Obviously Luffy is probably going to be 1. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Zoro is 2, because I know a lot of people bring up, oh, Kobe, oh, Smoker. Man, please. Obviously about the way that Blackbeard was willing to fight Sengoku and Garp once he got the Gura Gura and the Yami Yami at Marineford, but he's still scared and doesn't want to fight Dark King Silvers Rayleigh. That honestly tells me that it was, you can argue whether it was Roger at 1 or Whitebeard at 1, or Whitebeard at 2, and Roger at 1 or 2, but obviously right behind them was Dark King Silvers Rayleigh. By portrayal, Blackbeard is more scared of Silvers Rayleigh than fighting both Garp and Sengoku at the same time. Like he didn't even challenge Rayleigh. He walked away simply because Rayleigh's name. Like that's the power of portrayal that Oda is giving Rayleigh in this series. Now I'm not gonna go on a tangent, but yeah, those are my order that I would put them in. Obviously Luffy at the 1, Zoro at 2, Law and Kid at 3 and 4. So again, comments, like or dislike, whatever type of interaction you do, it helps out the channel. It gets the algorithm going and gets the conversation talking. So I will be before you guys again. Talk to you soon.